That's what the hell? Oh, what in the hell is going on? Hey, what's up, PLA? I'm just hanging out, goofing off with some stuff. So this isn't serious yet. Matter of fact, I'm trying to get something that normally works to work, and it's not doing it. And it's probably going to drive me ape shit until I get it figured out. Hopefully you're having a good day today and hanging out. Let's see. I'll shrink this down. Hopefully I can get something to work like I want it to. We shall see. Let's see. Screen sharing, yada yada, blah 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 blah. Okay, I want to share the audio. That's what I want to share. All right. So hell, PLA, we'll use you as the crash test over here. Let's see whether we can get this doing its thing. We'll see whether you can hear this.
Here's a song about a brawny paper towel. When a little Van Gogh draws on your door, or a little bit of glue drops.
Of course, I don't want to be a douchebag. Play already. There we go. Yay! Nope. Not what I wanted to do.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out today. My name is Ari Osadolo Hernandez, and I'm a Student Civil Action volunteer from Texas. To come to you today under the circumstances is absolutely devastating. As a Texas resident and as an Afro-Latina, the shooting in Uvalde and the shooting in Buffalo last week are personal to me in more than one way. But unfortunately, I was not shocked by what happened.
Damn cat, you're killing me.
Gun violence has made me fear. I fear losing a loved one. I fear being the loved one lost. I fear for my family, for my friends. I fear for the Latinx community. I fear for the Black community. I fear
Can
for
you
every
can you hear the audio,
every
PLA?
student living in this country. I fear for every
You hear this
person
chick that's speaking
living in
right
this
now?
nation. We need to realize that this pattern keeps repeating itself. Every day, my friends and I live with the fear of being gunned down, not just in schools, but in our communities.
Cat, get out of the way.
The headlines are endless. And knowing that there's so much more that is not making the
cords.
headlines is absolutely gut-wrenching. I can't even tell you when my first active shooter drill was, or the first time I felt unsafe in the world. Why is this acceptable? Why are we being forced to grow up this way? Too many leaders have decided that being gunned down in our schools, grocery stores, and communities is fine. But today, we're standing up and speaking out. Enough is enough. We need more than thoughts and prayers. We demand action from our lawmakers. I am an advocate for safety, common sense, and awareness. And I know that with love, unity, and perseverance, we can change our current situation. And do not lose hope. Be filled with hope because people like you and your actions make a change.
Virtual background.
The culture is shifting and the narrative is changing. So let's find empowerment through actions. Let's learn together and let's fight together.
Because we can. I'm just playing right now, goofing around with stuff.
And today, I'm here to be proud.
I'm back. Yeah, they are very obnoxious, brother. Very. This was oh God, when was it? This was the 26th. So this was right after that shooting. So moms demand action, students demand action. All these gun control groups got together with these Democrat senators, Chris Murphy being one of the first ones. And then they get out here and then they start running their smokers, basically. Well, the fact is, brother, they are insincere. And I'll show something in a couple minutes. I want to listen to this, but I'll show some other stuff. They're completely insincere about this stuff. I was just looking through bills, and I'm going to look through more, and it's just part of what I'm playing around with. But looking through bills for like school resource officers or school security, hardening schools, and there just aren't a whole lot of bills out there for that. Everything's pointed at the gun, no pun intended, and they're completely insincere about what they want to do. What's up, Rich? Yeah, I'm just goofing off and hanging out. Matter of fact, let me see what I can do here, because I got so many things open. Like I said, I wasn't being serious about anything. I'm going to open this up here. Really been doing so much other stuff. I haven't live streamed in a whole lot, so I'm still freaking trying to get back in the groove. Anyway, I just pinned a link up to the chat, so if anybody wanted to jump in, you're more than welcome to. All right, yeah, you getting rain and thunder, Rich? That's us probably going to run us over after a while. Let me see. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm not getting an echo from this. I don't even think the video's cranked up yet. Okay, it's already muted. Oh, good old Shannon Watts. Took me about 3 seconds to get banned from this chick on Twitter. Cat, come on, go. like I said, this was on the 26th. This was right after the shooting, so they all did. I had to get out there and just grandstand the hell out of it. What email am I getting? Okay, this is one of my classmates from SDI. I wonder if my link's still uploading. And this is getting into what I said on a video the other day. Let me see. Let's get my man up here. What's up, Rich? Oh, I had Rich. Now Rich gone. But this is getting into what I said on my video the other day. This is not a binary choice on whether we can have one or the other. Gun rights and children getting killed, or no gun rights and children not getting killed. This isn't a binary choice.
Hey, okay.
What's up, Rick?
It started raining and thundering, and I got a dog that shakes.
Oh,
She,
yeah.
Totally loses her shit.
Man, have you ever seen it's I don't know where they sell them anymore. It's called a thunder shirt for a dog. It's basically a wrap that you put around them. And I've heard people say they've used them on their dogs, and man, they are 100% better when it comes to storms.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she doesn't, for whatever reason, she doesn't like rain or thunderstorms. So like if I work from home, so normally she's just hanging out here on one of the couches, and she's like a cat. She'll just sit around all day long. And but the second it starts raining, and forget about thunder, she wants to be like sitting in my lap.
Yeah.
Well,
I just looked them up real fast. You can look them up on chewy.com. They'll cost you about 35 to 40 something bucks.
Yeah, and the poor dog shaking.
Yeah. We had one dog. I can't remember which one it was, but that dog was terrified anytime it started to thunder. Didn't mind the rain. It was the thunder. It was a loud noise.
Yeah. I don't know if she was abused, if she was like kept outside in the rain and in the thunder, because as soon as it starts raining, even a little bit, she's in my office.
No, there's a lot of dogs that like that one we had. That dog was never abused, was never damaged in any way, but I think it was Rut. She just did not like the thunder. Didn't mind the rain, but the thunder, she'd go nuts. So anytime it thundered, she was right there in your lap. She needed to be held. But yeah, look up, because I heard there was one guy that I knew, I think it might have been Wes. He had a dog that was like that. And he tried one of the thunder shirts and said, man, that thing worked out great.
No, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
So I actually, it was beautiful here, I guess before noon or, early afternoon. And I had to do a video on like an inflatable pool. I got it out there right now. And, I've been just time-wise. Plus, this is awful. I hate throwing my wife under the bus like this. I'm like, you want to help me with the video? She's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start recording. And I click record because I'm going to do an unboxing. And she starts talking to a gecko. It's like, oh, hi there, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like the record part, I'm clicking record now. I just got done telling her I need her to be quiet. I'm going to click record. And then she starts talking to a gecko.
Hey, what can you expect, man?
Hey,
you got to get you a dedicated cameraman. You got to get
well,
him trained a little better.
yeah, not exactly. I mean, first off, I'd have to have friends, so that would be a problem. Um, the other thing is, I want to do videos when nobody's home.
Yeah.
I don't like I and now that I got a 9 to 5 gig, and then I do 5 to 6 John Crump live. I don't have any time to do stuff when my wife's not around.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could do it at lunchtime, but when you work from home, it's tough to say, okay, this is my lunchtime.
Yeah. I mean, we've been stuck working at home with all this COVID stuff sometimes. Yeah. It's hard to separate that time out. I'm back doing my thing on site now. So, but we went through a couple months where, yeah, it was all at home, and it's hard to parse that time out.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, let me let this play for a second. I got to check on one thing.
Yep. All right. So that's my dachshund. Uh-oh, my wife keeps telling me I'm fat now that I look. What's going on, Chelsea doggy dog? Poor girl. I don't know if you can see she's shaking.
What's up, Murphy?
And she has the worst breath.
Yeah.
Poor dog. Just sweet dog. Worst breath in the world. Oh, so I had to. Coop, you do any electrical work like home wiring?
Man, very little. I mean, if there's something jacked up, I can genuinely fix it, but I'm not an electrician, man. I weld with electricity.
We got
home
these
electricity ain't my thing.
recessed lights here, and I started putting in 65-watt LED floodlights. She's like, "Oh, it's too bright. Oh, we need a dimmer." I'm like, "Oh no, more work for me to do."
Yeah.
So it's on a 3-way switch, and you need a 3-way dimmer. Now, I hate to say it, as much as I know electronics and all that bit, I don't. I could look at a wiring diagram, figure out how a 3-way switch works, but
Yeah.
I haven't, and I claim complete ignorance. So I didn't want to put the 3-way switches in, and the 3-way switches have 4 leads coming off them and it's wire nuts as opposed to screw terminals.
Yeah.
So you got to hide more crap in the electrical box. Well, I got it done. So these are now dimmable, but on a 3-way switch, you have a dimmer on either switch. So if you turn one down and turn the other down, they're almost off. So one always has to be up, unless they're like some sort of Wi-Fi enabled smart switch something,
Well, I'm surprised you don't have all that Wi-Fi enabled with all your technology and stuff.
I do to a degree, but it's sometimes a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
There are smart switches that are hackable. In my paradigm for my home automation, all the home automation I got going on, is that it stays on my network. Like my cameras, there's an AI watching all of my cameras, and the AI is on my network. It's running in my office.
Yeah.
It doesn't go out to the cloud for anything.
Yeah. Murphy is the JSD stuff right now. I just ordered a t-shirt from them last night, but I think their site's up and running. If they would have had the jig for the SIG last night, I would have went ahead and ordered that from them, but it's still.
So JSD is down. Let me bring up your channel here so I can get in the comments.
Yeah. What's up, Bull? Well, the ATF basically they withdrew their stuff, right? But then they're still saying that all this is still covered under the Gun Control Act anyway.
So this is it. Unfortunately, it's tough to explain and tough to understand. So, all right, first off, JSD is only selling T-shirts. They're not selling any product. The 19, they got a C&D. We talked about this on
Yeah, the
Dark
cease and
Show last
desist.
night. So the cease and desist, or C&D as I'll say, said, hey, selling 80% firearms has always been a violation of the 1968 GCA, which is absolutely 100% correct.
Oh, it's horseshit. Yeah.
So the 1968 GCA has language in there about readily convertible,
Uh-huh.
but what it's talking about is something that was a firearm and was then deactivated as a firearm. Some in the example is Matt from Floodbusters told me this.
Yep.
The
I
example
watched that.
was there were these like 32 caliber revolvers coming from Italy that were super cheap, and they're putting a ball of lead in the barrel. Like, you know, they just ram a ball of
Yeah.
lead in the barrel, not soldering it or anything, just shoving a ball of lead. And then they called it a starter pistol. It's not a firearm.
Uh-huh.
And all you had to do is take like a dowel and jam the lead ball out, and you had a rifled barrel revolver.
Yep.
And so you had a firearm. So the 1968 GCA was like, wait a second. You're not pulling a fast one on us saying it's a disabled firearm. If it's readily convertible back to being a firearm again. Now, the 1968 GCA doesn't say those words, but the legislation, yep, I got a couple of those boxes. The legislation, when they were discussing it, talks about things that were firearms demilled in a fashion that were readily convertible back to firearms.
Uh-huh.
So it's never talked about 80% lowers or 80 kits or of any kind.
That's the reason that the ATF started to change their definition of readily convertible. You know, they changed their definition of readily convertible, and we've talked about it before, as being like 8 hours in a fully staffed machine shop.
All right. So again, readily convertible, first off, there's a law. Readily convertible, whatever the ATF does, doesn't change the 1968 GCA. The ATF did not write the 1968 GCA, and they can claim anything they want, but readily convertible in the context of the 1968 GCA is taking something that was a firearm, disabling it somehow, but in a way that it's readily convertible to being a firearm once again.
Absolutely.
So readily convertible never had anything to do with 80% firearms.
No,
with respect to
it never did. Because you had at the time when the 68 was written, I mean, there were people building their own firearms at that time.
Yes.
So they were getting parts, they were completing parts. You know, that's happened since before the United States was even the United States.
Correct.
So
okay. So like 2-3 weeks ago, JSD gets a visit by the ATF. They drop off a letter. That's a cease and desist, C&D, I may use that term. And it says in the letter, one of the stipulation, one of the paragraphs is you're violating the 1968 GCA readily convertible. Not possible to do, but that's what they say. Wow. They also make the claim that they're structuring. Now, structuring is somebody like me going to a bank and trying to avoid government radar. Maybe I want to take 10 or 20 grand out, but I know $10,000 above trips notification to the Fed. So I take 6 grand out one day, 6 grand out the next day, 6 grand out. That's called structuring.
See if I can find something.
To avoid. So structuring has never been a thing where the bank allows somebody to take the money out. And what they're saying is JSD is guilty of structuring, because if you sell these parts for a firearm and those parts for a firearm at any time, not within a day, a week, whatever, in all of eternity, you're guilty of structuring, which there is no such crime. So that's kind of crazy. But they're making it up on the fly, and they're saying, and JSD has only ever sold parts. And all of the parts kits they've had ATF letters for saying these are parts and we don't regulate them. Enjoy, have a nice day. So now the ATF sees that JSD's lawyered up. A week ago, they send out this letter. By the way, we're rescinding our cease and desist. But if you recall, in the cease and desist, we mentioned the 1968 GCA. You're still bound by that. So it's kind of like, as far as the lawyers and judges are concerned, there's nothing to see here anymore.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop the ATF from saying, like, let's just say JSD got that letter that said the C&D has been repealed, and then they start selling everything again, business as usual. They could have a TAC team stacking up and kicking in the door and saying, but we told you the 1968 GCA applies. So they want to get everything specified, and so they're going to be seeing the judge again Wednesday. So they were in court last Wednesday, and one of the lawyers, I believe Rob Olson, asked the judge, can we sell, 80% frames? And they said, the ATF said, well, we're not subject matter experts.
Yeah.
Then they asked, can we sell slides? And the ATF said, we're not subject matter experts. Rob Olson said, can I sell a spring? The ATF said, we're not subject matter experts. Now, I don't know, maybe we need to go to the Department of Agriculture to ask them. So if the ATF is not a subject matter expert on anything having to do with firearms, why the fuck do we need them? And that's kind of a crazy thing. That's a crazy thing.
Murphy, when we're talking about the ATF and their authority to just make these laws, they don't have that authority. But what they do have is they have a very anti-gun established upper echelon. They have a administration right now who is very anti-gun. So they're going to let them run off that leash as long as they can.
And now here's the whole thing. So you got a rabid dog pulling you down the street, and Joe Biden and his cronies are not going to pull back on that rabid dog. That's not happening. So I'm sorry, and I don't mean this sarcastically. My wife's calling me. I'm going to call her back. I want to finish my point. So the thing is, we, you, me, Murphy, we all live in a land of rules and laws. And the unfortunate thing is that with this land of rules and laws, we play by the rules. And the ATF is not. The ATF does not get to make law. The Constitution specifically says that. This is crazy. So
it's absolutely insane. It passed crazy a long time ago.
Yeah.
What's up,
so, Robert? So what's going on is out of enormous caution, JSD is keeping their doors closed basically and only selling T-shirts. I am really certain Wednesday the judge will give them relief and say that the ATF go F themselves. Now, again, as I quite often say, the phrase is don't put your junk in crazy.
This is true.
I'm dealing with people like Coop, that's in you guys in the audience having normal functioning brains.
Well, maybe not normal, but functioning at a certain level. I mean, look, I got to throw the caveat out there.
We agree to certain rules and we understand rules and how they work. And look, there have been crazy decisions from judges and lawyers and all that crap. Somebody reasonable, this is a Pennsylvania court, As far as I understand, this is not a hostile court. So I'm assuming with Rob Olson, who's a kick-ass attorney, he's one of the best out there and best in this field, that this should be a slam dunk for JSD. Now, again, with all common sense and reason employed, we don't know.
That's one of the reasons, and I brought it up on I think Swamp's podcast one night. We have to look at the number of judges that the Biden administration is putting on these district courts and circuit courts right now.
But they all do that. I don't mean
putting hundreds of judges on these courts.
Coop, I'm going to jump off. I'm going to jump right back. My wife was calling me.
No problem. I'm going to let this play for a second and then go check on my kiddo real quick. So you guys chill and listen to this harpy for a minute, and I'll be back. Oh, just in time for this idiot. Oh, okay. So we're getting into this conversation on active shooters and stuff like this. Okay. Why is it people like him stop every single bill that comes up to harden these schools and protect these schools against active shooters? Because they do it every single time. Hold on, let me get
hey
Corn Pop. This is on this was something that was done on the 26th. It's on C-SPAN. Because I like to torture myself, and I actually watch some of this stuff to see what these idiots are doing, and this is it. So let's listen to Mr. Chris Murphy.
Oh God. What's going on, doggy?
Okay. Like I said a second ago, these guys have stopped every bill that would harden these schools and stop these shooters from actually gaining access to the schools in the first place. So when you look at this stuff, there are people out there who don't pay attention to it, and they think these people are talking from some sort of a moral high ground, and they're not. They shut down everything to do with school safety, with resource officers, you name it, and they focus just on the gun. Oh, Rich, did you see Corn Pop's comment? He was asking whether you had seen the new Top Gun yet.
No, I haven't.
I haven't seen it yet either. I got to watch it.
Johnny B gave it a good review. My wife was like, I'll watch it when it comes out on video, but I'd like to go see it.
Yeah.
I had the dog swimming in the pool today. So this is the first time all year that we've been in the pool. So actually, the whole family got in the pool. Because the ocean is warmer than the pool.
Oh, yeah.
So nobody wants to go in the pool. Yeah, we just put her in the pool. We're going to take her to the beach. So the girls, it was hellacious, thundering and all that bit. It seems to have stopped. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. So I mean, it's getting warm enough up here. I'm about middle Alabama, right next to the Georgia line, and it's getting warm enough by us where pools and stuff are definitely warm enough to get into right now.
Yeah, I usually jump in the pool after I do some yard work to cool down. Coop, you muted yourself.
Sorry. I'm a moron. No, Murphy's Law. Yeah, dude, take it easy. He's getting out of here. Any of you guys that haven't subscribed to his channel, go ahead and look him up, man. He's put out some pretty good stuff and supported JSD. And he's got some other really good content. So you guys look up Murphy's Law.
Take care, Murphy.
Take it easy, guys.
I'm just checking out the weather radar here.
Yeah.
I got an app on my phone. Oh, I got to go backwards. So the dog was shaking like a freaking, hands oscillating sander,
Yeah.
The poor girl. Now she's all mush, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, she'll chill out. I mean, she's like the other dogs I've had. And yeah, once the thunder and everything quits, she'll chill out. But like I said, look up those Thunder shirts though, because 30-something bucks, depending on the size. Which she's not a big dog, but so you're probably looking at $34. But you take something $34 and it's able to calm her down and she can get through a thunderstorm without the anxiety. That's more than worth it.
Yep.
Yeah, Corn Pop, that assault weapons ban that's coming. Yeah, they've had that in the works for a while. And it will. I'll depending on where we go in this stream, I'm just goofing off. So I'm listening to these idiots run their smokers and everything. But we'll see. We might look and see one of the last submissions for an assault weapons ban, who all has signed on to it since this shooting. Because like the red flag law that I covered in one of my last videos, that was submitted in 21, but you had people signing on to that bill on the 27th of this month. So it went from right at 100 co-signers to quite a bit over 100 in the last couple days. So that bill is still active.
Let's see. I think Corn Pop sent me a picture of his dog. I just looked at the subject of the text. Hi, I forgot. I was going to be like, oh, I can show you. I'm like, yeah, no, I can't.
We're back to old Shannon.
It's YouTube Live. What's this? Oh. The dog might be good enough to be left alone.
All right. So before Blumenthal gets up here running his smoker, and I'm getting an echo for some reason. But anyway, can you guys hear the audio on these guys speaking okay?
I don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything?
No.
I know PLA could hear it earlier. So let's see. Can you hear it now?
Nope. No, I don't hear anything.
Huh. Oh, I wonder what happened then. Because, like I said, PLA could hear it earlier. So let's. Let me redo this and we'll see. System audio. All right. Let's see whether you guys can hear
America rising up and saying enough is enough.
All right. Can you hear this moron now?
When I want to thank all the leaders who are here, my colleagues, but most important, every Moms Demand Action, what we're seeing, grassroots groups organizing, work in the trenches to hold colleagues accountable. And make no mistake, let me be very blunt. Gun violence prevention is going to be on the ballot this November. It will be on the ballot this November, and we need to make it a decisive issue. A decisive issue. And we will vote them out if they fail to vote the right way. Now, I want to say a word to the families of Uvalde, because Senator Murphy and I were at Sandy Hook on that devastating afternoon almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, these guys were at Sandy Hook, and the things that would actually alleviate this issue without stripping people of their rights, like hardening these schools, these guys have voted against every single time.
Well, they're the president of the AFT. She said that you don't want to make them like jails, the schools' jails.
Well, yeah, if you look at, say, some private schools that have barrier fencing around the outside, they control the entries. They are very aesthetically pleasing places. It doesn't look like a prison, and you could do that with every single one of these schools.
Yep.
It doesn't have to look like a prison.
Right, right. And I firmly believe that either by mistake or by design, that these gun grabbers want dead kids to convince us
They absolutely do. That's the reason they focus on the gun and they don't focus on the issues where these shooters have often come in contact with law enforcement long before they do the shooting.
And I'm going to steal somebody's line. I don't know who said it, and I apologize for not being able to give you credit. But when it's a mass shooting, they blame the gun. But if a cop kills a perp, it's the cop's fault. It's not the gun, it's the cop.
Absolutely.
So why is it one way or the other? And I guess it's because the target they want in a mass shooting is not somebody on meds or, effed in the head. The target they want is the gun. And when it's a cop and a perp, they want to go after the bigger target, which is the cop.
That's it.
Their little children would not be coming home that night. And it leaves a hole in people's hearts. It rips apart a community. And every one of these shootings, every one of the massacres that goes to the headlines is devastating for those people, and they will never fully recover. But the Sandy Hook families have shown the strength and courage to come here year after year after year. And I am in awe of the courage and strength of those survivors who have been really the wind beneath our wings as we have fought this battle, and we owe them such thanks, and I thank them. But we know what we have to do. There are a lot of mysteries in this world. There are a lot of scientific questions that are difficult to discern. We know what can save lives. Background checks can save lives.
All right, so this is one thing that just automatically drives me crazy with these people right now. This shooter at the school passed background checks. This shooter at the supermarket passed background checks. I think the Sandy Hook shooter, was it him or another one that passed background checks?
I'm not sure on Sandy Hook.
Yes, was Sandy Hook, was the Sandy Hook the one that killed his mom and stole her guns?
Correct.
Yeah, that was okay. So he didn't pass a background check. He just killed his mom. So obviously your other laws ain't stopping him. But the Las Vegas shooter passed plenty of background checks. So background checks haven't stopped anything.
You know what? If you had a multilingual gun-free zone sign in front of the door where the shooter went in the door, and
Virginia Tech passed
a background check. And you make sure it's not a Beretta. When they have the, because if it's a Beretta, it's a no Beretta zone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe you have to make them digital where they scan your gun and tell you can't have that particular gun at that moment. I mean, it could be something like that.
Universal background checks, and I want to thank my colleague Chris Murphy for championing background checks, universal background checks. We need them. And red flag statutes. I wrote a red flag statute with my colleague, Senator Graham, right after Parkland, more than 3 years ago.
Unmute myself. So understand, he's talking about Senator Lindsey Graham, who is supposed to be a Republican type of person, who is very much not. Now, for some reason, when John McCain died, Lindsey Graham found his nuts for a little while. That's as far as I'll go with that. But if you take somebody on these red flag laws, which I just covered another red flag law, which is probably about the fourth one I've covered in my paper cuts series. If you just take someone's guns or take the guns that you know about, you're not stopping that person from doing anything. They could still
Oh, yeah.
commit suicide. They could still kill their loved ones. They can use multiple other things. Now, we already have commitment laws.
No, I
So-
disagree. Red flag with like bright neon gun-free zone signs and universal background checks. All of a sudden, there's going to be no gun crime.
Oh yeah, yeah. That would sure that would stop everything.
Well, it's kind of like if you had a driver's license, a vehicle registration, and a driving test, there'd be no bad drivers.
Oh sure, that's worked out beautifully. Except for the fact that more people die in car accidents.
No, that can't be true.
You know.
Or swimming pools. More people die in swimming pools than shootings every year.
Yeah, well, they use that argument all the time. If you have a gun in the house, it automatically increases your chances of dying with a gun. If I have a swimming pool, it automatically increases my chances of drowning in my home. It's the insanity just doesn't stop.
And we're talking about stolen valor, Dick.
Oh yeah. Oh, Richard Blumenthal. Yeah.
Piece of shit.
Oh, there's no mystery about taking away a firearm, a weapon from someone who shows they are dangerous to themselves or others. Someone who says, I'm going to kill people or I'm going to kill myself. A red flag statute is an imperative. And we have the language in the draft. There's no mystery here. And I want to see a vote on the floor of the United States Senate on background checks and a red flag statute. The women of this country who are survivors of domestic violence are 5 times more likely to be killed when there's a gun in the house.
Okay, let's chew on this one for a second. These women, they're more likely to be killed by a gun. We can go find stories right now where a woman wanted to defend herself with a gun, and through the state's own delays, she was not allowed to. So her former lover, spouse, whatever, was able to kill her because the state stopped her from defending herself.
I want to see protection for domestic violence survivors like Lori Jackson.
Oh yeah, and just saw what Morningstar said. Suicide is a right, our bodies, our choice. I'm pretty much with you on that. But I also believe if someone is going to commit suicide, if you just take their guns, they have a million other options to commit suicide. That's why we have. Yeah. Well, that's why we have laws to where you can have someone involuntarily committed. You do that.
I don't know if you're familiar with the most deadly school mass murder that happened. It happened like 70 years ago, I think. Do you know that? Some guy lost a town election and he blew up the school, packed it with fucking dynamite.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one at all.
Yeah, I forget. If I recall, the name was Bath. It was like either the town of Bath or so. But he blew up the school. And I don't know if you could magically snap your fingers and make guns disappear. I mean, look at Ireland. Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Yeah.
That because guns no longer exist doesn't mean people with evil hearts aren't going to find a way. And I can defend myself against some guy with an AR-15. I can't defend myself against somebody pushing a plunger.
No. And it's, and I've said it before, these people act like no one died or no one was ever murdered before firearms were invented.
Correct.
I'm sorry, there were people getting killed, whether they were choked out, beat with a rock, beat with a club, hit with an axe, shot with a bow, long before firearms were even invented. Murder is murder, no matter what device I use to do it.
And it's illegal no matter what device you use.
It is absolutely illegal for me to take a device, gun, bomb, truck, whatever, and take someone's life without just cause. If they don't care about the law about murdering people, do you think they care about any other law? It's not like they went to leave the house and went, oh shit, murdering people's illegal. I'm going to leave my gun at home.
Like the gun-free school zone sign?
Yeah, which is basically a, hey, this is an easy place for you to attack. Why don't you just come here law?
Connecticut, who perished from an estranged husband. And innocent children every day in their own homes play with guns who are left unsecured. They're left out in the open every day. Kids are shot by quote unquote accident. That's no accident.
I'm sorry. That doesn't happen every single day. That's an absolute lie. When they look at these statistics for children being shot with firearms, they include everybody up to like 20 years old. So they include all the gangbangers. Yeah, they include the gangbangers. They include the gang shootings, all this crap. There's a reason that when a child actually interacts with a gun and harms themselves or others, that it becomes a big news story, because it doesn't happen all the time. You know, they're more children are going to drown in a toilet or a bathtub in their home than are going to interact with a firearm and die. And you can go to CDC's website, and I have to find it. There's a part of their website where you can search different causes of death. And I've been on there and searched and compared different causes. And yeah, more children are going to drown in average household fixtures than they are going to die by a firearm. More innocent children.
Sorry, I was getting food out of my
teeth. Storage law to protect them. Ethan's law that will protect them. Ghost guns are one of the biggest emerging threats. Law enforcement says that they're used to intimidate police at the local and state level. Ghost guns are untraceable. They're mostly crime. We need a law that bans ghost guns, not just a presidential executive order.
Okay, let's get into this. These so-called ghost guns. I have a firearm sitting right here I can touch that has a serial number. I could literally pick up a rock and damage that serial number to where it would be unreadable and unlegible. What's easier, to build a functioning firearm out of an 80% or to just destroy a serial number?
And, you know, here's the whole fallacy. Because there's a number on a part of a firearm doesn't make it inert. That's crazy.
No, it doesn't matter whether it's serialized or not. It can still be used in a crime. You can take the license plate off of a car and go rob a freaking bank with it. It doesn't stop anything.
Correct.
You know, and the serial number is only going to go back to the original owner that's on that 4473.
So realistically, after a couple of years, a serial number is meaningless.
Yeah. Well, the time to crime, what they call the time to crime metric that they use, last time I checked, it was something like, I think, 8 years. So from the time a gun is purchased to the time it is actually involved in a crime, the average is 8 years right now. So, yeah.
So I want to see the first two votes on background red flag statute And I want to see where my colleagues stand, and every one of them will be held accountable if they fail to vote the right way.
The right way meaning how he wants.
So we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. And I want to say a word to the gun lobby. Your days are numbered. You are on the wrong side of history, and you will see your power broken simply because you have overreached. You no longer represent gun owners. You no longer represent your members. You no longer represent public interests. You are a danger to society and to America if you continue to oppose these common sense measures. And breaking the grip of a bankrupt lobby that seeks to intimidate and threaten my colleagues is part of what we need to do. And we will win. Not only, we won't back down. We won't back down. We're not going away, but we will win this fight because we have you on our side. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Everytown and to Shannon Watson.
Thank you, Senator Blumenthal. And now I want
Stolen
to introduce
Valor
a longtime gun.
Why can't I talk? Stolen Valor Blumenthal.
What was that, Rich? You're breaking up pretty bad.
Sorry, I'm saying Stolen Valor Blumenthal.
Yeah. Guy who said all sorts of things. He served in Vietnam, and he was this, and he was that. Turns out, I don't think he ever set foot in country. Yeah.
No, he never left the U.S.
No. It's just more proof, man. These people can get away with so much BS that it's just unreal.
Well, that's like the couple of times Biden has run for office. He failed out 2 or 3 times before running for president because it was found out he was plagiarizing all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah,
it just seems like today our standards are so effing low that it doesn't matter. Don't you think it would come up like he's running for president again and he's plagiarized 1 million times? Or that
you got to look at it, man. The average American, 1, doesn't pay a whole lot of attention to this. 2, when they do pay some attention to it, they have extremely short memories.
Nice.
So,
but
when
see,
this
also
dude does this stuff, it just gets pushed away.
That's the news media's job, is to remind us, like, hey, he's failed out a couple of times in runs for presidency because he plagiarized.
Yeah, but then again, you have to look at our news media, who are extremely far left on about everything. So they're going to do their best to run cover for these people.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Everytown. Thank you to Moms Demand Action. Thank you to every activist, an army of activists that has risen up across our country to fight the NRA, to fight the Republican Party.
Now notice this, and they use the NRA as this big boogeyman because they're probably the most well-known name recognition supposed to be gun rights organization. There are more members right now. I will bet money there are more members of Moms Demand Action in Everytown than there are members of the NRA.
Probably, and they're probably better funded by Bloomberg.
Oh yeah, dude. They've got Bloomberg, they've got Soros, they've got all these major very leftist billionaires that fund them? Yeah. What do we have as far as the NRA? We got Wayne LaPierre buying suits and going on freaking African hunts. You've got Alan West running against LaPierre right now, but even some very, very good people have run against Wayne LaPierre in the past, and that organization is so jacked up, they don't make it. It's all about money for the NRA. It has nothing to do with our rights.
The Republican Party is within a vise-like grip of the NRA. They do whatever the NRA tells them that they should do. What the American people want is for NRA to stand for not relevant anymore in American politics.
Well, you get your wish because the NRA ain't relevant for any damn thing when it comes to gun rights anymore.
I want Moms Demand Action to stand for Moms Demanding Action.
Hey, I'm married to a mom. I'm all about moms demanding action. But the NRA is just, like I said, they're the most well-known name recognition organization when it comes to guns. So they use them like this huge boogeyman, even though the NRA signed on to background checks. They signed on to bump stock bans. They've signed on to pistol permits. They've incrementally given away rights for gun owners for decades now. So anybody who even mentions the NRA as being some big group these days, nah, it ain't me.
They want the Republicans who work in this building to finally have the courage to stand up to the NRA, to finally stand up for the families in our country. They demand stand up. This is the historic moment. This is the turning point. This is not just any longer a moment. It is now a movement across our country so that we don't have to worry that children will be cowering in their classrooms, that shoppers will be running through the aisles of shopping centers, worried that they or their loved ones could be killed. This is the moment now where we have to ensure that a Republican Party which opposes background checks, which opposes red flag laws, which opposes the simplest protections that ensure that those who should not have guns in our society do not get access to them. And then what do we hear from them? We hear the red herring that there are mental health issues here that have to be dealt with. That's the underlying cause. Well, every industrialized country has citizens with mental health issues, but they do not have an epidemic of guns.
Yes, every society has mental health issues. Japan, who has no guns, has a way higher suicide rate than the United States comparatively. Plenty of other countries have mass murders, like a guy in Nice, France, who took a truck full of guns and mowed down 80-something people with the truck. We're getting back to the point that even even if you took every gun out of the United States, you completely got rid of them. All you did was you took the bigger, stronger criminals and you put them dead on the top of the damn feeding chart. They can prey on anybody because they can overpower them, they can stab them, they can beat them to death.
So, Coop, let me ask a question here.
Yeah.
The shooter in Texas was stopped by who with a what?
Oh, well, I do believe, Rich, he was stopped by a person with a gun. I think that is usually the way most of these mass shootings stop, is when someone else shows up with a firearm. That moron in the supermarket, if everybody in that supermarket would have been allowed to carry, you know, they said the security guard got one round on him into the vest. So that knocked him back, slowed him down. So think about everybody else in that supermarket is able to pull their firearms and engage. Well, instead of him being able to move forward through maybe some harsh words, he's got to walk through a wall of lead. That kind of stops that shooting.
Yep.
Yeah, Corn Pop, Ted Cruz actually did a pretty good speech at the NRA conference. And Ted Cruz is actually, in some of this, has actually reached down and apparently discovered he has testicles. So he's been stepping up and making some pretty good speeches. What I want to see from them is, instead of just speeches, I want to see them use their oversight authority to actually rein in organizations like the ATF. Much like conversations or whether it's on social media or letters that I've written to Congress people, where are you guys at? Because you are starting to see your voting people in really in danger of being thrown in prison for owning things that are completely legal. Let's see. Let's run back. Let's listen to
gun violence in their countries. The difference between the United States and the other countries in the world is that those who want to do harm to their neighbors have access to weapons of mass destruction.
Okay, weapons of mass destruction. Just a couple of years ago in the UK, we saw a video where a guy took a soldier in broad daylight and hacked his damn head off with a machete in front of everybody. And then you have the mayor of London wanting everybody to bring their knives in to get the points blunted because there is so much knife violence.
Evil will find a way.
Yeah, it's evil people are always going to be evil people. They are always going to commit evil acts. The only thing that stops that evil person is someone else who is able to defend themselves and others. That's it. That's the only thing that stops him. That church shooter in Texas, the one where the dude shot in the face with a 357 SIG, you know, he was able to kill one person, and then he got tapped right in the dome and shut down by a person with a firearm defending other people's lives. And yes, too many choices, evil exists everywhere. You know, I don't carry every day because I just want to put a round in somebody. I carry every single day and won't show it all the way, but it's like, yeah, there. I carry every single day because there are evil people out there that would want to victimize myself or others. My dad, and I've used him as an example before, at 5 o'clock in the morning, just stopping at a store to get a cup of coffee and a pack of cigarettes, was robbed at gunpoint by a career criminal who was driving a stolen vehicle who had already killed probably 2 or 3 other people. That's being your own first responder at that point.
Yeah, and look, I'm carrying right now. And if I'm in bed, I've got 2 guns, one on my night table and one magnetically mounted behind my nightstand.
Yeah.
Because I want to have a firearm where I know it's always going to be, because the gun I carry in my pocket, I might have just taken my pants off and it may still be in my pocket. So I want to know, hey, I run to this spot or reach to this spot, there's a firearm ready to go. And I live in a neighborhood. I mean, I'm in Palm Beach County. I'm in the redneck portion of Palm Beach County. But what that means is we're unincorporated. We only have like a sheriff at any time over I don't know how many miles. So if anything goes hot here, there's nobody that's going to come and help. Yeah. And the other part of that is because the smallest piece of property is 1.25 acres. There could be a massacre in the house next door. Nobody would ever know.
No, no, that's about like where I'm at, because we're out in the county in a pretty rural area. All the parcels of land around us are decent sized parcels. Not that I'm living big high on the hog or anything, because I don't, but for a sheriff to get to us is going to take, depending on where they're at, it might take them 20-30 minutes.
Yep.
So I mean, I have to be that. I have to be that first responder for myself.
I'll tell you the other point is, if 2, 3, 4 guys come in armed, kicking in my door, and it's me, my wife, and my daughter here, and the 2 of them together don't weigh as much as I do. Yeah. I want to have the ability to defend my family.
Absolutely, 100%. It's whether I lived in a city or whether I live in a rural area, I don't have a cop in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I can't just put and then pull out the cop, and all of a sudden they're there protecting me. So me having something that takes
look
like
at this situation. They were shooting outside the school for over 12 minutes. I don't know why the school didn't get locked down. All the doors didn't get a perimeter check and locked. But in 12 minutes, there had to have been cops there before the kid entered before the shooter entered the school.
Absolutely. And they said this dude, when he crashed his car, apparently he shot at a funeral or a funeral home, and then was out in front of the school for over 12 minutes shooting. Why was there a door unlocked he could even get through?
That's crazy.
It blows my mind. I've been in school lockdowns where there was one at a college I was at where a major road in front of us, there were people who got away from a sheriff's officer. They were being transported. We get the call, everything's locked down. Poof. Doors of our building are locked down. Now, the rest of the stuff completely was an absolute shit show, but, our building was at least locked down. So and what gets me is, in this building, is our front doors completely surrounded by basically tempered glass, which someone could break out and walk right into the building. But, we locked everything down that quick. When you have 12 minutes of someone out in front of a building shooting, why was that building not locked down?
I don't know. That's just crazy.
It's insane. And I'm going to let this play for a second. Bob, I got something I'm going to show you in just
Coop,
a
I'm
second.
going to drop off. I got some chores
go
to
ahead, brother.
do. But I just want to come on in and support you a bit. But good work, buddy.
Man, I appreciate it, dude. You're more than welcome to drop in, and which anybody else is. The link should be pinned in the chat. So if anybody else wants to jump in, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, Rich, I appreciate you stopping by, brother.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, brother. So let me let this play for a second. And yeah, I got something to show to Mr. Bob here in just a second.
That only belong on the battlefields of the world and not on the streets of the United States. The senators who are here all have an F rating from the NRA. The legislators who have to answer to the American people all have an A as a grade from the NRA. History tells us that the Republican Party will hope that over the next 10 or 12 days, this movement will die down and the issue will just go away. Well, I say to all of my Republican colleagues, this time is different. This time, the American people understand that they have to ensure that on the ballot this November, that gun safety is on the ballot. And if you do not change your mind, the American people are going to change you as their representative in the United States Congress.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna kidnap this for just a second. And let me show myself in full. Now, Bob, this is part of the cut that I did for you. This is the wasp on that badge. And what I did was I still got to paint everything, but to give it the real 3D look, I actually made it to where I took the legs and I bent them over. Let me get the camera right. So when I paint it, it will have more of that aesthetic to it. And then, of course, the back piece that he goes on, and then the back piece to the badge itself. So I wonder if I can, let me get things right here. When it's painted and put together, if I can quit from dropping everything, that's the way it'll sit. But it's going to have a real, more 3D look to it. So hopefully you guys can see that pretty decent. This is the first one I've done where I actually took that and bent it around. So it's more an idea that I've played with, but of course I got to highlight everything in white and then do the colors on the tail with the yellow, black, and then the red on the end and all that. But yeah, that thing should end up looking pretty damn cool. So I gotta finish up the paint job, and I've been dragging trying to get SDI stuff done. So but let's see. Let's listen to more of this moron, because God knows everybody's head's got to hurt as bad as mine. It's not quite a share the pain stream, but
and finally, let me just say, we have to take very seriously the threat which an illegitimate, far-right Supreme Court poses to gun safety in our country. We have to expand the Supreme Court to get back the 2 stolen seats.
Now, understand what he's saying right there. And I might find it where Chuck Schumer's talking about some stuff the other day. They are talking about killing the filibuster and pushing through their bills to stack the Supreme Court, probably in the next week or so that they can basically shove through all of their gun control proposals. Yep, too many choices. These people are absolutely disgusting. Yep, absolutely. These people are absolutely vile. And I'm trying to be as polite as I can. These people are absolutely vile.
The Republicans and Donald Trump took from the American people so that we can ensure that when we put gun safety laws on the books, they are not overridden by the Supreme Court of the United States. This is the time, this is the place, these are the people who are about to change our country once and for all in our relationship with the gun lobby in our country. Thank you all for everything that you are about to do.
Yeah, Bob, this is all about messaging. For the majority of people who don't do their own research, who don't really think for themselves, when you continually tell them something, even if they don't believe it the first time you tell them, they ultimately start buying into it. It becomes their reality. Nancy Pelosi is great at telling you this all the time when she says perception is reality. Well, if you feed someone a narrative and you change their perception in a certain way, that becomes their reality. And they have the entire mainstream media pretty much on their side, feeding people these talking points. Yeah, dude, they will never waste a chance to stand on someone's grave at all.
Thank you, Senator Markey. And now I'd like to introduce another gun sense champion, my senator from the state of California, Senator Alex Padilla.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, everybody who's here. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for your activism. We will win. I'm Senator Alex Padilla from California, and I am here to do my job. We're going to vote on these measures, and we're not going to give up until.
Okay. He's here from California, one of the states who has the strictest gun laws on the books. Also, one of the states where you can get raped, robbed, killed, shot, whatever in a very short amount of time. All you have to do is go into, I don't know, the state itself.
We bring common sense gun safety legislation. Look, I know our hearts go out to the people of Laguna Woods in Southern California, the people in Buffalo, New York, more recently, and of course, to the parents, the classmates, the co-workers of the 19 students and 2 teachers who perished in Uvalde, Texas this week. Yes, we offer our condolences. Yes, we offer our thoughts and prayers. But thoughts and prayers alone is not enough to prevent future tragedies from happening. I'm here, and I want to be clear about this. I want to be clear about this because it's right about time for my kids to start school in California with the time change. I'm here as a U.S. Senator, also here as a father, like Senator Murphy, to young children, school-age children. My 2 youngest are the same age. They could have been in that classroom in Uvalde, Texas. So yes, this is personal. The question here this morning is to our Senate Republican colleagues. How is this acceptable? How are you not outraged? We're outraged. And no, putting more armed adults in schools is not the answer.
Okay, I'll stop him for just a second here. I know a lot of teachers who are way more skilled with firearms than your average police or your average person that has served in the military. Those people would definitely like to be armed in their classroom, concealed, not out in the open, so that if something like this did start to happen, they can pull their people back to an area where they can control and they could defend them. It's not about being Rambo. It's not about going, for them, it's not about being Rambo and going and finding the shooter and engaging them. It is about pulling their people back to an area that they can control. And if dude stuck his head in the door, they could shoot him in the dome. It's a very, very simple tactical choice. And these people are the ones who have stopped any legislation that would actually allow people to do that. Again, they're not worried about the bodies. They don't care about safety. They are focused on the gun itself. What did Too Many Choices say? Let me cycle up. The only thing that would stop this would be raising the age. Yeah, but dude, Too Many Choices. At 18 years of age, okay, you can go into the military willingly. You could be drafted unwillingly. You have the right to vote. You have every civic right that someone of the age 21 has. You can throw out 18-year-old shooters all you want. Those people were in areas that should have been locked down in the first place. When you look at other shooters that were over 21, much like the Las Vegas shooting, they were older, passed every background check. I'm sorry, just raising the age to purchase these firearms isn't stopping anything. And it never will. The Sandy Hook shooter, we kind of breezed through that earlier, you know, he just killed his mom and then went and got her guns. If you're willing to commit an act like this, the only thing that you can seriously do to stop this is to make it to where that person can't get into the building in the first place. I mean, they could use a vehicle and run people over. They could use explosives. They could kill their parents and then get their firearms. There's so many other ways that this stuff happens. Just simply raising an age and doing something like a background check doesn't stop anything. It never has. It never will. And yeah, Thor, you're right. Most of your violent crime, drive-bys, your average shootings, that's all handguns. All long guns combined, that's AKs, ARs, shotguns, any long gun kills less people than hands and feet every year. But they're going to use the sensationalism of an act to push their bans. All right, let's listen to this jackass a little more.
If more guns was the answer, the United States of America would be the safest nation in the world. But it's not. It's the only country where students go to school fearing for their safety. It's the only country where people wonder about their safety going to a house of worship. It's the only country in the world where people wonder whether it's safe to go to the grocery store or the shopping mall. More guns is not the answer. We know the answers. You've heard it. Assault weapons ban, advanced background checks, get rid of large capacity magazines, red flag laws, and more. We need to bring this legislation to a vote and hold every member of the Senate accountable, because I refuse to sit idly by and watch our children die to gun violence in schools and in our communities. And briefly, you're about to find out what it means to be a senator from California, because I get to deliver some remarks in Espanol as well. Lo que sucedió en Texas esta semana es una tragedia y fue una pérdida insuperable para nuestra comunidad latina. No solo como senador, pero hablo como padre de 3 hijos, 3 niños, 2 de la edad de los que murieron, los que perdieron su vida esta semana en Texas.
And this is what we call pandering, kids, just in case you weren't aware of it. Yeah, well, all these people, BB, all these people that vote on this stuff, they know good and damn well they're not going to be the first one through the door trying to take anybody's stuff. Yeah, it's the same thing, man. These guys have voted against every single bill that would harden schools, that would put more people in there to defend schools. They vote against all of that because they're focused on the gun. And this is a magazine, YouTube, you bunch of idiots. They're focused on the gun. They're not worried about safety. They're not worried about the bodies. They're not worried about people getting shot. They're focused on the gun itself.
No me puedo imaginar el dolor de los padres que nunca verán a sus hijos o sus hijas en sus ojos otra vez. Estoy harto de saber que niños van a la escuela en este país preocupados por su seguridad. Estoy harto de comunidades que no se sienten seguros de ir de compras, ir a las tiendas o ir a la iglesia con temor de violencia. Ya basta. Y es tiempo que el Congreso tome la acción necesaria para mejor proteger a nuestras comunidades, nuestras familias y a nuestro país. Sabemos las soluciones. Lo que hace falta es valor de parte de nuestros colegas republicanos de tomar acción, votar en favor, no de sus intereses políticos de las armas, pero en el interés de los residentes, de las familias, del pueblo americano. Nuestras familias, nuestros hijos merecen mejor y va a haber accountabilidad este año. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very, very much.
Like how they're just like tapping each
Thank you,
other
Senator
in like
Padilla.
it's some fucking
And now I
wrestling
would like to
match.
introduce Rhode Island U.S. Senator, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse.
Oh, this idiot.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to moms. Thank you to Everytown. Thank you to Students Demand Action. Thank you to Senators Murphy and Blumenthal for their passion and work in this effort after the catastrophe at Sandy Hook. It is not enough to end the gore and the carnage in America's classrooms. We need to fight for an America where you don't have to have
Brother, if you wanted to slap the shit out of Whitehouse every time he said something stupid, you better keep that pen hand strong, because he can't open his mouth without saying something stupid. It's like physically impossible for him.
shooter drills in schools. And a lot of us are here fed up, angry, frustrated. And one of the things that frustrates us is that the waves of our passion, the waves of our grief, the waves of our anger as these shootings take place over and over again, those waves break against the rock of the National Rifle Association's political dominion over the Republican Party. We have to break that grip.
Again, there we go with the NRA boogeyman. Even though the NRA gets down on their knees and practically votes for everything these idiots want to do, the NRA is the most well-known by name, supposed to be gun rights organization. So they trash them on one hand, they praise them on the other. They use them as a boogeyman. At this point, the NRA can just go away. They can shut their doors. I don't care about them at all. They've been useless for decades. When you look at the NRA, man, there's over 120 million gun owners in the United States. The NRA has a membership fluctuating right around 5 million. Okay. Moms Demand Action in every town have more members than the NRA. And they get funding through Soros and a bunch of other organizations, through Bloomberg. Their bankroll is way bigger. But that's getting to the point that the NRA is the most well-known, name-wise, supposed to be gun rights organization. I would rather the NRA go away and Firearms Policy Coalition or Gun Owners of America really become that front line, because they're the ones who are actually doing the work while the NRA is paying for Wayne LaPierre's suits.
We have to have a long game, the way they have a long game. When passions are subsided, the NRA is still out there relentlessly building the political wall for our passions to break against. And we have to take them on and do that back. And I will tell you, one of the tools that they use is dark political money. And if we get rid of dark political money, we will take away some of the power.
Dude, he mentions this dark money all the time, whether it's in congressional hearings, whether it's in some sort of deal like this. He mentions dark political money all the time. Never mind the fact that this guy gets money through every left-wing statist organization out there. And he's another one who has literally made millions of dollars being in Congress. He's another one of these vile people that will lie dead to your face. And he's doing it right now.
Of the NRA. And while we're at it, by the way, it was dark political money that packed that court right there. It is dark political money that is paying for voter suppression against minority voters all around the country. It is dark political money that is behind climate denial and obstruction of this crisis. There is a common theme behind so much of our frustration and incapacity, and it is that the other side has weaponized dark money so that our schools need to be de-weaponized.
What's up, Mike the Shooter? You doing all right, brother? Yeah, I'm just playing around today, man. I'm just goofing off. So I'm just bouncing through some of the BS these idiots are talking about after this last shooting. So, But yeah, brother. Hopefully you're doing good. Hopefully you're banging it out in the shooting competitions, man.
So I'm with you all the way, but let's keep our eye on that long game and let's disable and disarm the fraudulent dark money operations that oppose us. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And now I am honored to introduce the U.S. Senator from Minnesota, Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Oh, what happened? Hold on. Something happened. I lost video. Oh, this is horrible. Let me get back to this. Hold on. I'm going to have to try to jump back to when Klobuchar speaks, but is it just me, or does Klobuchar look like she...
Here's a song about a brawny paper towel. When a little Van Gogh draws on your door, or a little bit of goo.
To be honest, I
In this building, to finally have itself, the Republic centers, take very
Oh, good God. Come on.
very seriously the threat which an illegitimate
It's the hijos o sus hijas.
to end the gore, dark political money.
In Buffalo.
All right, so now we got it back. Is it just me, or does it look like Amy Klobuchar could take a bite out of a 2x4 and not even slow down? That chick's got more teeth than my Husqvarna chainsaw.
Thank you, Senator. And now I am honored to introduce the U.S. Senator from Minnesota, Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Moms Demand Action. You're everywhere. To Students Demand Action. Thank you for standing with us for gun safety and to protect the people of this country. Because that's what this is about in the end. We are once again here in the wake of a tragedy. We're here because of 21 empty beds tonight in Texas. We're here because of 10 empty chairs at the dinner table in Buffalo. We're here because we have lost more than 2,900 people in this country in mass shootings just since Sandy Hook. And we say today, enough is enough. And when you look at the pictures of these kids from Robb Elementary, it shatters you. The sports uniforms, the first communion dress, the glasses, the smiles. In some photos, they were holding awards that they had just won that morning. That's how immediate, that's how real this is. And the reason this is called Everytown is that it happens in every town. It happens in Florida. It happens in Connecticut. It happens in Texas. It happens in Minnesota. And we have asked our colleagues over and over again to reach deep into the hearts and to do what is right. And I am so appreciative that our colleague, Senator Murphy, and others are going to continue to work over the next 10 days to get an agreement with Republicans. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Now, again, listen to what she's saying right there. They're going to work with the Republicans over the next 10 days. I'm seriously thinking within the next 10 days, if Republicans don't completely cave on all of their stuff, they are going to get rid of the filibuster and they are going to start packing the Supreme Court, and then they are going to start throwing through all of their gun control legislation. If they get rid of the filibuster, things are going to get real. And that's where they're going. They've been dancing around it for a long time. But they're using this as more of a launching pad to go ahead and actually get it done.
That they're willing to work, because you're never going to get anything done if you don't try, okay? And you always hope at every single time there's going to be a change of their heart. But if there isn't a change of their heart, then we will vote, and we will vote. We will vote when we come back, and we will march all the way to the ballot box and vote. Because in the end, you know the numbers. And believe me, the Republican Party is looking at the numbers just like we are. The numbers of people that want to see background checks. 80, 90% of the public is with us. Then what is wrong over there in that building? That's what I said when I went over to the...
Yeah, Corn Pop, you're right. They want to win over everything. It doesn't matter how many people are killed. It doesn't matter how many children are killed. They don't care. These people, you have to understand how they operate. And one of the reasons I go through the bills that I go through, like on my paper cut series, is these bills, a lot of these have been submitted before. They just continue to roll them over year by year by year, get a feel for them. And if they pass, cool. If they don't pass, they just submit them again. They don't care how long it takes. They don't care how many bodies they have to stand on. They are just after getting rid of the firearms.
White House after Parkland. I was in the small group of senators, Democrats and Republicans, that met with the former president, President Trump, after Parkland. And on a piece of paper, and I still have it at home, with hash marks, I wrote down how many times he said that he was for universal background checks. He said it then. He said it once. He said it twice. He said it 3 times. And in the end, 9 hash marks. He said it 9 times. And then do you know what happened the next day? He went and he met with the NRA and he changed his mind. Well, this year, this election year, we are not going to tolerate people just saying they changed their mind. Not when we have those 21 empty beds in the state of Texas. I come from a proud hunting state. We have a lot of hunters in our state. And I can tell you right now, my Uncle Dick in his deer stand, he does not need an AK-47.
Okay. She's used her uncle Dick in his deer stand quite a few times when she was running for president and other things. I've read the Second Amendment many, many times. It doesn't mention hunting. I've read the founders' letters in support of the Second Amendment. They don't say anything about hunting. Hunting is never mentioned. Hunting has nothing to do with our right to keep and bear arms for self-defense. Much like Joe Biden says, well, these deer aren't running around wearing Kevlar vests. No, they're not. I've killed plenty of them. I have had a couple get away from me, but hey, is what it is. They weren't wearing Kevlar vests. Second Amendment has nothing to do with hunting at all. Ever.
And any rational person that looks at this and say, how come an 18-year-old could go out there and buy that type of gun? How come they could get an assault weapon? That is
Okay. If you took your average insane person and let's say they didn't get a 5.56 AR and they just went out and got a standard Remington 30-06 like what I used to hunt with. It's an off-the-shelf Walmart gun, nothing special. I can tattoo a target at well over 300 yards with that thing accurately anytime that I want. So if that person doesn't get that AR and they get that off the shelf bolt action and then they commit a shooting with it, well, then you're going to hear things about, oh, these sniper rifles. It's always going to be the next step for these people. They don't care how long it takes. They don't care how many bodies they have to stand on.
is why we have long stood for sensible background checks, for red flag laws, for yes, closing the boyfriend loophole, which is my bill that got 30 Republican votes in the House and then got cut out of the United States Senate because the Republicans in the Senate wouldn't let it be part of the domestic violence bill. Enough of this. They literally.
Do you see the veins in this chick's neck? Just an observation.
We're standing up for domestic violence offenders and saying that they could have guns. It never ends. And so, no, 18-year-olds should not be getting assault weapons, and we will take that to the public. This next week will be a referendum on that, on sensible gun laws, on getting this done, and we will see if they come back from hearing from the people in their districts and in their states, and they come back and join us in some common sense gun safety legislation. This is their moment. That's a pressure point. And as those funerals go on and you see more of those pictures of those kids in their communion dresses and in their baseball uniforms, every single time I want you all to think that 18-year-old didn't have to go out and get an assault weapon. This is completely preventable. So let's get to work. And when we get back, if they don't join us, we march right to the ballot box. Thank you.
So every one of these people that mentions assault weapons cannot define what an assault weapon actually is. Okay, there is a legal definition of an assault rifle. So usually a select fire weapon that will go from either semi-automatic to burst fire or to full auto, intermediate cartridge. There's a legal definition of that. An assault weapon, on the other hand, could be anything I assault you with. If I stab you with a pencil, that pencil now becomes an assault weapon. Yeah, Luminous, you're right. Yeah, anything someone uses against another in a violent manner, yeah, that's an assault weapon. Pencil, frying pan, baseball bat, fists.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Now I would like to introduce Delaware Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester.
I wasn't even scheduled to be here. I'm not a senator. I'm a member of the House of Representatives, where we did our work. And we still have work to do. I wasn't supposed to be here. I was called here for a meeting. I took the train. I stopped. I wore orange today, not knowing what was going to take place. But I'm a member of the Congressional Black Caucus. And so for us, our hearts are with the families today. But we also know that in addition to these mass shootings that are happening all too frequently, every day, every hour, in our communities and in our neighborhoods, people are being shot. Yes, right here in DC. I hear you. And so
Yeah,
today,
Corn Pop, you're exactly right. Yeah. I'm not a senator, but I heard there was a pandering party somewhere near me, so I had to show up and pander a little bit. These people are, I mean, they're absolutely vile people. How they actually, it drives me insane how they actually get voted into office and continually get voted into office. I really don't understand people who continually vote for people like this.
Here to stand in solidarity, because not only am I a member of the House, not only am I a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, I'm a mom who's demanding action. And so everything.
Okay, just to throw the brakes on that right there, if you look at this chick's face, there is no wonder why she has to try to demand action from somebody.
Has already been said. My message is just this. It's all been said about voting and about the courts, and I want people to know we do this because we love our children. We love our seniors. We love our community members. We love our country. And that love is more powerful than hate. So keep going. Get in some good trouble. Keep going.
Yeah, guys, I don't know why the video's not showing up. Let's see. Let me change this. Okay, maybe this will show it. No, Corn Pop, I'm an absolute idiot when it comes to this stuff. So I'm just like playing it by ear. So yeah.
Well, that was powerful. And now I'm honored to introduce U.S. Senator from New York, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
Thank you all for rallying in front of the Capitol. It really matters. This has been a moment of fear and anger and tears and fury. It is crippling to be this angry and this infuriated by the lack of action by people who hold all the power. It is a disgrace in this country that Congress cannot overcome the greed and corruption of the gun lobby. It is an outrage that they cannot stand up to the NRA and those who want to give weapons to anyone at any time for any reason. It is an outrage that
These are the same people who want abortion for any reason at any time, even past the time where the child is actually born. And they want to talk about firearms. These people are insane. the literal definition of insanity fits these people perfectly.
Weeks, two 18-year-old men can walk into a store and buy military-style weapons when they cannot walk into a store and buy cigarettes. It is an outrage that an 18-year-old man can buy a military-style weapon that our military trains our service members for years on how properly to use them. To drive a car.
Okay, let's drill into that just for a second, because I know a lot of people that are former military, a lot of people who are active military, a lot of people who are law enforcement, both retired and active, and they know way less about firearms than I do. Their argument becomes that your average civilian can't be trained in arms, when you guys know it and I know it. A lot of us are way more skilled with firearms than any of these people who were military or law enforcement. Matter of fact, if you want to look at negligent discharges, the majority of them are law enforcement.
You have to train, you have to get a license. We have so many requirements on 18-year-olds, but not on the ability to buy a military-style weapon that is designed solely to kill large numbers of people quickly in a moment of war.
Now, again, when they talk about the AR-15, the AR-15 was marketed to civilian markets long before it became a weapon that was adopted by the military. Even the AK, God knows I got a few of them laying around. You're talking about technology that was available in the early 40s. It hasn't changed. Oh yeah, dude. When you're talking about a lot of the guys who go into law enforcement, some guys, not a huge, well, yeah, it's a pretty big number. Guys who have gone in the military, they can pull the trigger on a firearm. Anybody can pull a trigger. It's not hard. To actually know how to operate that firearm, control that firearm, muzzle discipline, and all that, that is another story. And there are plenty of people who have never been military, who have never been law enforcement, who are way better with firearms than people who were military and people who were law enforcement or are military and are law enforcement. And when you talk about a right enumerated in the Constitution, where we have the right to bear arms in defense of our self, our family, our state, requiring training for that is absolutely ridiculous. Because what they will do is they will set that training bar so damn high that no one can actually meet that bar. You know, I'm not a big fan of driver's licenses. I'm not a big fan of asking the state for permission to do things, because driving a car is much like an extension of any sort of travel, walking, horses, wagon, you name it.
They should not be allowed to buy these weapons, period. Because the truth is, an 18-year-old cannot go buy a tank. An 18-year-old cannot go buy a shoulder-powered missile.
Okay. So an 18-year-old, if they had a couple of $100,000 to spend, yes, they can buy a tank. they can actually buy a shoulder-fired missile if they have enough money to purchase said device and then register that with the government. Yes, they can. You absolute moron. Just like Joe Biden saying, well, you couldn't own a cannon. Yeah, you can. And you can own cannons right now. I can legally build a black powder cannon right now. It just can't be a breech load. I have to load it from the muzzle into the cannon. What we're getting down into in a lot of this is your average person in the United States is so ignorant of the gun laws that they actually believe the shit this lady is throwing out of her face, which drives me completely up a wall. Yeah, too many choices. You're 100% right. And the fact is, they will stand on any bodies that they need to stand on to push their agenda. They're not about fixing a problem. They are not about looking into mental health. They are not about stopping these shootings. They are merely focused on the firearm. And that's the only thing they want to look at. Never mind the fact these firearms have been around for decades and we didn't have this issue. So, yeah, and Corn Pop, you're right. You can own all that stuff. And you just have to pay the government their due. Like all of a sudden, if you pay the government the money for it, then it becomes inert or it won't hurt anybody. You know, if I took any of my ARs, my AKs, and I turned them full auto today, and I didn't hurt anybody with them, I have no plans to hurt anybody with them. Where is the crime? Yet, you have people who will go out there and commit crimes with any gun. And the only thing these people will do is they'll pile those bodies up long enough to have a podium that they can speak off of.
An 18-year-old cannot even rent a car, but he is yet allowed to buy a military-style weapon that is designed to kill large numbers of people very quickly. No one should be allowed to buy military-style weapons in the civilian world, period. So community after community in this country has suffered so dearly. I was in Buffalo with President Biden, where he came to console these families, to talk to these families, to empathize with their loss. And I met the 3-year-old whose father went to the grocery store just to buy him a birthday cake, who lost his life doing that simple fatherly thing. So it's just a moment of rage and fury and tears and anger. But you must motivate yourselves and take all that fury and channel it to the next election. Everything changes when we change who is in power. Everything changes when we have people who will stand with us. Everything changes when we have the rule of law supporting us. So fight to this election like your life depends upon it, because it truly does.
Now I'm going to turn it back to my colleague with Students Demand Action, Adi.
Bye, everyone. I just want to thank everyone again for being.
Yeah, corn pile. How would you like to live with that harpy and just at you all the time? Yeah, dude. No, that'd be a divorce quickly. Bye bye. Here he is. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. And say hi to everybody. We're going to switch up the screen. So, all right, let's listen to what else is going on.
Being here today and for speaking out. And now I'm proud to introduce our amazing Community Justice Action Fund partner, Greg Jackson.
First of all, I just want to thank Moms Demand Action, Students Demand Action, every town. But I'll be honest, we're late. You know, I was shot in April of 2013, and the bullet that hit me hit 2 arteries. It took 6 months of recovery, but I'll never forget, after my first surgery, I looked down at my mutilated leg, and I looked up at the television, and I heard the Senate making excuses about why they couldn't pass the background checks bill. Since then, 1 million people have been shot or killed by gun violence.
Okay, first of all, nobody has been shot or killed by gun violence. People have been shot and killed by people with firearms. This dude, I don't know his story. I got to look up his name, and then, I can kind of do some research into that. But guns don't go out there and shoot people on their own. Come here, Will. So, no. This whole, again, we get into this, people have heard me say it before, this focus tested terminology that they use. Gun violence is one of those focus tested slogans.
Since then, our economy has lost $2.8 billion to gun violence. We're late. And those 1 million people are not numbers. One was my neighbor, Devon McNeil, that got shot playing at the age of 10. Micaiah Wilson, who was shot getting ice cream. Karan Brown, who was shot selling water bottles by a grown man, who held his own peace rally to stop the gun violence 2 weeks before he was shot and killed. Kat Massey, who wrote an article in Buffalo about ending gun violence just to be shot and killed by a white supremacist. Roberta Drury, who's leaving behind her young daughter. I was at the vigil in Buffalo. Her daughter was holding flowers, too young to even know what was happening, trying to cheer up her family members, smiling, joking, didn't even realize her mother was stolen from her. Where's the action for that mother? Where's the action? We are late. Senate is late. Congress is late. People are dying. Today, people are burying their grandmothers in Buffalo. Mothers in Uvalde are trying to figure out how they're going to bury their children. Children. And we're trying to figure out when is the right time. We're late. The time is now. We had a conversation with Senator Schumer this morning. And I'm sure all of y'all have heard about the timing. We got to get the timing right. The American people do not believe that Senator is going to do anything about this. They don't believe that Congress is going to do anything about this. The people in Buffalo that are looking for food to eat, they don't believe the government is coming to save them. So we
Okay. What do the people in Buffalo looking for food to eat have anything to do with firearms deaths? Just asking a question here, but those two are really unrelated problems. Yeah, well, they did get shot at the store. So, but that store was also another gun-free zone in a state that doesn't believe in personal firearms ownership. So, okay.
We have to fight. He's given them 10 days. 10 days to stand up for the people of Buffalo. 10 days to stand up for the families in Uvalde. 10 days to deal with the 212 mass shootings that happened this year.
So understand, guys, which we're down to probably 8 days now. Chuck Schumer basically gave the Republicans 10 days to agree with me or else. I will again say that they are going to go after the filibuster. They are going to get rid of the filibuster. And they are going to start slamming through things like packing the Supreme Court and pushing through all of this gun control.
"10 days to deal with the 100,000 people that are shot or killed every year. 10 days to deal with the 35% increase in homicides since 2019. 10 days to deal with the number one cause of death for youth. 10 days to deal with the number one cause of death for black men. 10 fucking days."
Okay, let's ask a little question right here. Why are shootings the number one cause for the death of black men? Could it have anything to do with, I don't know, drugs, the narco economy that surrounds drugs? Could it have anything to do with turning their neighborhoods into war zones and drive-by shootings? Chicago, Atlanta. Could it have anything to do with something like that?
So I don't know about you all. I don't know about you all, but I work hard every day. Everyone here works hard. The camera people here work hard. The janitors here work hard. The security work hard. People serving the food, we work hard. And if we show up to work late, what happens? We're out. We're out. They've been late. So they got 10 days. And if they don't take action, guess what? They're out. Vote them out. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That was extremely powerful. And now I'm going to introduce Stoneman Douglas survivor, Sorry Coffee.
Thank you. And I want to thank all the senators and representatives who are on our side and are supporting gun violence prevention. Like so many of you who spoke before, I wish I wasn't here. I wish I didn't have to talk about the worst day of my life. I wish I didn't know the emotions and feelings that those kids in Texas are going through right now. But as a survivor of the mass shooting in 2018 at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, I sadly know the reality that those students are suffering through right now. I'm heartbroken by this latest shooting, but I'm also livid. Whether it's inside the classroom or outside in the neighborhoods, more and more children are dying because of gun violence. Gun violence is now the #1 leading cause of death for children in the United States. So shame on the people who watched my friends and classmates die at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and continued not to act. Shame on the lawmakers who promised to protect us and now have tighter connections to the gun lobby than ever before. Shame on them. They are not representing what their constituents believe. More than 90% of Americans support background checks.
Again, this whole 90% number, well, 90% of Americans support background checks, is a horseshit number. It's asking a question much like a good salesman will ask you, where they always ask the question in a way that requires a yes answer. The majority of the people don't understand what universal background checks would entail. Universal background checks would mean a registry of all firearms, because they would have to track every single firearm. It would also mean that they would have to have a way to track whether or not I have sold one of my firearms in a given period of time, so that I didn't just sell a firearm and not report it. So is it going to be like a yearly thing where they send me a paper every year and say, do you still own these firearms? Because these firearms are registered to you.
But these representatives are deciding to put politics over children and the people they represent. So to the lawmakers who will not listen to their constituents, at least listen to your conscience. Please do not wait until it happens to your child. And if you think your community is invincible, from personal experience, I know it's not. These shootings can happen anywhere, as long as we continue to let people with guns get guns without background checks. This time, we will not be denied action. We will continue fighting like hell, because this is life or death for our generation. Thank you.
Now, again, how many of these mass shooters, and we'll use our terminology, how many of these mass shooters actually passed background checks? The majority of them did. Okay, the only shooters who didn't pass background checks for their firearm was like Sandy Hook, where he went in and killed his mom, which I can't even fit into my head, and then stole her guns and committed the shooting. All these other shooters passed background checks. Wow. As my son's over here stomping me in the goodies.
Thank you, sorry for that. And now we're going to hear from a Sandy Hook Elementary School survivor, Erica Lafferty.
To be honest, I didn't think I was going to come today. Everything about the shooting at Robb Elementary reminds me of the day my mom, Dawn Lafferty Hochsprung, the principal of Sandy Hook, was murdered protecting her students and faculty. When I heard about the shooting in Texas on Tuesday, I told myself that I was going to step back. Erica, you need to take time. You got to process this. I wanted to step away and just not deal with it publicly. So I did that for about 5 minutes until I literally heard my mom's voice in my head saying that I cannot sit this one out. I knew then that is when I needed to make my voice heard, because enough is enough, and the time to act is now. The time to act was 10 damn years ago when my mom was gunned down in the hall of an elementary school. Remember the day that my mother was murdered like it was yesterday. When I found out that there was a shooting at her school, I knew that there was no way she wouldn't protect her students and faculty, no matter what the cost. I knew those kids and her colleagues meant absolutely everything to her, and I felt it deep down as soon as the news broke. She wasn't making it out alive. Many of the families in Texas today, in Buffalo last week, and tomorrow, and next year, and 10 years from now, will be feeling this unimaginable loss that only people in the Gun Violence Survivors Club can understand. I know that nothing could ever be done to bring my mother back, but I sure as hell can honor her with action. And that is why I got out of bed, and that is why I'm here today. How many more kids and educators need to die in our schools before lawmakers act? How many people need to continue to die while grocery shopping, while picking up birthday cakes for their 3-year-olds, while walking down their city streets? We deserve to learn and to live without fear of being shot to death. But thanks to our weak gun laws and the gun lobby's relentless guns everywhere agenda, nowhere is safe and no one is immune. We must take action now. I hate that I have to be here today because it means that others have been stolen from their families, their lives have been taken by this incredibly preventable public health crisis. But I am grateful to be here with so many allies and so many leaders, and my fellow survivors. My heart goes out to you. But I refuse to let my mother's death be just another statistic, and I absolutely refuse to let the last 10 years of work by all these people behind me to be in vain. Thank you.
Now, closing for us, we have Reverend Emmanuel Lipscomb.
You know, too often we sit around and we act like this isn't a problem. Gun violence has existed in America before there was a United States. My grandfather, who's
Okay, this cat right here, I did listen to him a little bit the other day when I flipped through this video the original time. If you want to talk about race baiting moron, this guy should be on that poster. And I'm trying to find a video that I saw a few months ago about the UK and gun ownership, and I'm trying to. If I find it, I'll pull it up. What's up, Bubba? Is it that bad? Is it that bad? We ain't doing ABCs. I hear you.
signed the treaties that allowed for the colonists to come here was forced into those treaties because of gun violence. And when he signed the third treaty, he was shot in the back and killed. You know, I'm just saying, like, you know, just excuse me, I'm a little emotional. I'm a little emotional because recently we've been finding mass graves in this area, in Rock Creek Park, in Maryland, and they don't even pay attention to it. Those are my ancestors that are in those graves. Those are our ancestors that are in that grave. They're not just Afro-Indigenous people. They are British, they are Quakers, they are French, they are people from all across this world. Make America great? Is America great for when? I didn't say, when was America great? America was great before they had all the gun violence that came to America, that pushed the people into slavery, pushed the people into oppression. A bullet doesn't know what race you are. A bullet doesn't know what party you are. A bullet just knows death and injury. You know, there's an old saying, when you have an event, you want it and you want it to end on time, don't ask a minister to speak. And I'm going to do my best. You know, there are a whole bunch of things I was going to talk about, me being 5 and 6 and my mama telling me to be on the floor because somebody stole his daddy's gun, or being in middle school and coming to my first party and seeing the principal being on the ground because he was shot in the face and was dying. You know, and honestly, There are just too many occurrences of gun violence in our communities. People often tell us stories about how their lives, their senses of safety, was shattered by their first brush of gun violence. And I completely understand. But for me and many folks in our country, especially those that grow up in the inner city, it's like these experiences with gun violence are something painful, yeah, because they're normal. But we can win this fight against gun violence. The pain we feel, that's what happens when you grow up in a country where more than 100 people are killed by gun violence every day and hundreds more are wounded. The unthinkable becomes normal. But we can win this fight against gun
Okay,
violence.
a couple things. One, there's no such thing as gun violence. Two, there aren't 100 people killed every day by gun violence. That is a lie. It's the reason they have to add suicides into people killed by guns to pump the numbers up. And that's what it is about, is basically pumping the numbers up. Say hi. See, you're right there. It's a little picture. Or right there. There's another picture. Say hi to everybody. So, yeah.
The once in a lifetime occurrence happens every day in our communities. A fight or flight reflex kicks in when you're a child and it never turns off. Because if it did, you'd be dead. In fact, we could lose hope, but we can win this fight against gun violence. You see, we're here today to say it doesn't have to be that way. The evil, let's just get it right, it's not good. The evil of gun violence is within our power to fix. Yes, we can win this fight against gun violence. The same thoughts and prayers we hear over and over and over again, they don't save lives. They don't change laws. It all leads to the same thing, even more lives lost at the hands of preventable gun violence. If you're a politician, stop working to get elected and start working to do the job we pay you to do.
Okay. So if you are depending on the state, the federal government, local government, you name it, for your safety, for your security, I will submit to everyone here, you are not the brightest bulb on the tree, because ultimately you are the one who is responsible for your safety, the safety of your family, the safety of your loved ones. You are responsible for that. The police are there to draw chalk outlines and fill out paperwork, and then finally maybe figure out who actually committed the crime.
We're just constantly living in a cycle of abuse. And I'm talking about everybody. You know, I've sat and talked to survivors. Have you ever looked in the face of a mother whose child was shot while they were carrying them down the steps to give them formula because a random bullet came?
There are some people who have looked at that. I will mention a case, Ruby Ridge, for example, where a woman walked out of her front door and had a government sniper shoot her while she was holding her own child. Giving up your right to defend yourself to the government historically has never been a really good idea.
in the House, and that through everything that's happening, your story isn't on the news. Nobody's writing about you in the newspaper, or a father that's raising a family all by themselves that tells their daughters that what you need to do is when somebody threatens you, stand up in their face and give them a fist. But he wasn't thinking about a gun. And that child never comes back home from school. But today, I know it seems hopeless. It's been hopeless since the 15 and 1600s. But your people, look at you all around here. You're just like me. You're just like Shannon. You're just like all the people that are standing here before you, and you deserve a better life. You pay for a better life. And then people need to get off their rusty dusty and start making sure it happens. You know, we have a chance to build a country where for people like us all, we can win the fight against gun violence. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to today's speakers, our survivors, our organizers, our movement leaders, our champions in Congress, to express to each other and every one of you, my gratitude. You know, I was talking to a man earlier today, and we were talking about in the days with the sniper. When you came into Washington, you go to the gas station, you want to get some gas. You know, it's not like I'm trying to do something and win $1 million. I just want to put some gas in my car. And you can't even pump the gas in your car because a sniper is hiding in somebody in his trunk with a gun through the light in the back of the car. And you don't know if you're ever going to even get to be able to finish filling the car. But what I'm saying is, it can seem bad. I used to sing the song, I don't feel no ways tired. And we don't feel no ways tired. And they're being the way that they are because we know they.
Let me unmute. Yeah, what's up, Pineapple? We're just hanging out, man. We're just watching some of these folks talk about their plans for gun control. So, yeah, we're just hanging out and goofing off.
We have them on their heels. We have them at the point in which the embarrassments that they've hidden from, as it says, when the truth comes and the lights are cut on, the roaches start to run. So what I'm saying is, the roaches need to run on out of this house, go back to wherever they came from, and let us get some good people. We might have difference of opinions, but we all come together when it comes to.
Yeah, Ron. I'm definitely trying to be generous with the way I'm addressing these folks. Boy, you killing me. You got my headphones. Yeah, I'm definitely trying to be generous addressing these particular people, because they are pretty much vile individuals, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. Matter of fact, guys, I'm gonna let this play, and I'm gonna go change this one's butt, and I'll be back.
Saving lives and having safe
Come on,
communities.
you can change your butt.
So I just want you all to just we can win this fight against gun violence. Say it again. Say it louder. Thank all of you for being here.
All right. Apparently that one's over. Let's look at something though. Let me back this up because there's something I want you guys to see if I can find it. It's not the NRA stuff. I'm fixing my son something to eat real quick, so I'm kind of buzzing through. Let me see something. Trying to find it because this is something that was Chuck Schumer on the Senate floor. I want to say Friday, and he basically laid out his plans for what they're going to do in the next 10 days. There's Dave Rubin. I don't know why Dave Rubin's showing up on C-SPAN, but okay. Yada, yada, Sykes. Let me see something. I can't spell worth a shit, so I'm probably not spelling this right, but this guy's an absolute freaking sleazeball. Agenda. No, that was in 2021. Hold on, I'm gonna have to switch over to a full sheet here. So that was the 19th. Let's go to videos. What? Yeah, there's his speech on the Senate floor the other day, and I watched it. I want to try to find it because I want you guys to see it. So that was January 11th, 2022. Bills mentions people clips. Come on. Give me something to work with here. May 3rd. Give me a second, guys. Let me try to find this. And if I don't find it here, there's a couple other things I want to roll through. Printed guns. That was 28. We might listen to that one because that was about the Parkland stuff. Colorado shooting. Gun policy. Okay. Oh shit, that was all the way back in 1991. Let's look at it this way. All this stuff is here. It's just a matter of finding it sometimes. It's Ron Johnson, Rick Scott, Chuck Schumer. That was 4 days ago. Let's see. Let's see if it's this one. I'll let this one play and let me take care of my son real fast. And
here's a song about a brawny paper towel. When a little Van Gogh draws on your door or a little bit
service, along with these other television providers.
Listen to this for a
giving
second.
you
Let me take care of my
seat
son.
to democracy.
Oh, come here. Get out, cat.
Some members of Congress continue to call for some type of action against gun violence in the wake of the deadly mass shooting at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Here is some of what we've been hearing from senators so far.
There is a plague upon this nation, a plague of gun violence that has taken over this country. 2 weeks ago, that plague claimed the lives of 10 Black Americans who were massacred in broad daylight while shopping at a grocery store in Buffalo. They were Black and they were in a grocery store. That is the reason they were shot by an 18-year-old with an AR-15. And then, yesterday, just 10 days after Buffalo, that plague struck again in Uvalde, Texas, where 19 innocent children and 2 teachers were gunned down at Robb Elementary in the middle of the school day, just before the start of summer, when these kids were looking forward to having such a wonderful time with their family and friends. Gone. They're gone. The shooter crashed his truck near the school, overpowered the police already at the scene, and reportedly began shooting inside a 4th grade classroom. 19 kids, 2 teachers, forever gone in the blink of an eye. America's gun epidemic is unmatched by any of our peer nations in the world. No American is safe from it. And the American people are sick and tired of it. But we also have a problem, a big problem, here in the United States Senate. A big problem in the United States Senate. The problem in the Senate is simple. Too many members on the other side of the aisle are disconnected from the suffering of the American people. Too many members on that side care more about the NRA than they do about families who grieve victims of gun violence. As I said, the American people are sick and tired of mass shootings. They're sick and tired about active shooter alerts. They're sick and tired of children, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds being shot, gunned down in their schools. When I read the news of yesterday's shooting, I ached for the families. And then thought, what if it was one of my children? I imagined what I would feel if this happened to one of them. The mere thought, just thinking about it, was a gut punch in my stomach. The fear sent ripples down my spine. To my Republican colleagues, imagine if it happened to you. Imagine if this was your kid or your grandkid. How would you feel? Could you ever forgive yourself for not supporting a simple law that would make these mass shootings less likely? Please, 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 damn it, put yourself in the shoes of these parents for once. Maybe that thought, putting yourself in the shoes of these parents instead of in the arms of the NRA, might let you wriggle free from the vice-like grip of the NRA. Might free you to act on even a simple measure. For the sake of these children, these 9-year-olds, these 10-year-olds, these 11-year-olds, these beautiful children, please, damn it, please, think if it was your child or grandchild. Now, Madam President, it wasn't always this way in Congress. Nearly 30 years ago, I was proud to be the author of the Brady Bill and a leader of the assault weapons bans. These were major legislative accomplishments, and they worked because they were good, common sense laws. And they passed because both sides of the aisle worked together. And because they became law, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands perhaps, lives were saved. Children, elderly people, people of color, you name it. People now walking the streets who might have been dead had we not passed these laws. But today, the NRA has made it all but impossible for even the bare minimum to move forward in Congress. And the other side is
Get
all
out of my
too
chair.
ready to bow in obeisance to the NRA in service of their whims. Madam President, these types of shootings used to be rare. So rare, in fact, that each occurrence stood apart as a singular event. But now these shootings happen so frequently that the nation can barely keep up.
Okay, and all he's trying to do with this is build up an emotional argument, because they sure as hell don't want to address the driving cause behind a lot of these shootings. You know, mass shootings as we see them in schools, like the or the supermarket, are a relatively recent event when you look at actual historic precedent. The guns themselves haven't changed. AKs, long stroke piston gun introduced in the 40s, hasn't changed. ARs, originally introduced to a civilian market, and then brought into a military setting. You used to be able to get something like a Thompson submachine gun mailed to your house, cash on delivery. We didn't have these shootings. So what has changed with the people of America to actually allow this or cause this to happen? Because it's not the firearms that have changed. If you take an AR-15 from today and you match it up against a M16 from the past, about the only thing that really changes is one is a select fire gun, one semi-automatic. The operating system on the gun hasn't changed. The caliber hasn't changed. So tell me why these shootings happen. Yeah, you're right, Rich. The Brady Bill. All these background checks. And people don't remember that the Brady organization started up to ban all handguns. People don't remember that. They actually started up trying to ban all handguns. Then you ended up with the Brady Bill getting pushed through and the Nick's background checks and stuff like that. And then the assault weapons ban came through. Those didn't stop a single thing. The only thing that really did stop a lot of these shootings were some of the crime bills coming out where they basically, I hate to say it, it was the super predator deal where if you had these people that were so violent that they could not be left alone in an open society and they had to be locked up, you locked them up and you kept them locked up. That is what stopped a lot of these shootings. That's what stopped a lot of the crime.
Barely mourn the 10 people shot in the grocery store in Buffalo before being rocked to our collective core by the slaughter of 19 elementary school children in the predominantly Latino community of Uvalde, Texas. These shootings happen everywhere.
Here's another thing to notice. He talks about these kids getting killed in Uvalde, Texas. Will he mention the race of the person who actually committed the shootings? He's not going to say a single word about that. And this is right before they started pushing these white supremacist spying bills.
Movie theaters, churches, synagogues, concerts, nightclubs, grocery stores, college campuses, high schools, elementary schools with beautiful children getting ready to move out into the prime of life. Honestly, I thought Sandy Hook 10 years ago would be the breaking point. I thought that would be the tragedy that forced Republicans to examine their conscience and think, oh God, we can't allow school children to be slaughtered. Well, I was wrong. The slaughter of 20 elementary school children in Sandy Hook didn't move them. We heard about their thoughts and their prayers prayers, but no action. Thought, maybe this is the moment. 9 Americans shot in a church during Bible study. This has to move the Republicans here in the Senate. Nope, it didn't. They gave a few more thoughts, a few more prayers, no real effort to solve the problem. And so, Madam President, it continued on and on and on. San Bernardino, Orlando, Las Vegas, Sutherland Springs, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, Thousand Oaks, the Pittsburgh Synagogue, Santa Fe, Texas, the El Paso Walmart, Dayton, Virginia Beach, Boulder, Buffalo, and now Uvalde. When will it end? We must act to have it end. Not thoughts and prayers, action. After the shootings in El Paso and Dayton 3 years ago, the Republican leader promised that red flag laws and background checks would be front and center in the Senate debate. He was then majority leader, but then the Republicans did nothing. They ensured there was no debate, just as they wanted. They don't want to debate this issue. Indeed, all we hear from Republicans are thoughts, prayers, and now there's a new phrase. Now, some of my Republican colleagues want to lift up the community. That sounds heartening, but it does absolutely nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, Rich, you're right again. Notice they don't mention this shooter the other day who locked down a church and went to shooting Taiwanese people. They don't mention anything about stuff like that. And again, this is, I'll have to find more about it, but this is the same asshole within the next day or so was talking about these white supremacist spying bills that they want to put through, which I've covered on my channel. They mention race when it is appropriate to their narrative. They won't mention it when it's not appropriate to their narrative.
To prevent the next family from having to grieve for their loss. And it won't do a single damn thing to prevent another life from being taken. It won't do a single damn thing to prevent another child from being shot at school. A 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old. Beautiful children. And Madam President, you may have noticed that when they aren't offering thoughts and prayers to distract from their inaction, many of my Republican colleagues focus on the motives of the shooters instead of focusing on the obvious common denominator. They talk about the real villain being mental illness and say nothing of the fact that we are a nation suffocated by firearms. Rates of mental illness are more or less the same across the developed world. The U.S. is not an outlier on mental illness, but we are an outlier in the sheer number